Hello. Well, it's Jess and Kat from Chatalyst, talking from different sides of the world again. How you going this evening? No, this morning for me, this evening for you, Mama.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I am a little bit weary, as in
Oh, you
absolutely shattered.
you've just come off what, 5 days running NLP?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was epic, and I'm exhausted. So, yeah, and I wouldn't miss this for anything. So here we are.
Yeah,
Let's
here we
go.
are. Well, you're you're in the same hotel room that I spoke with you on Mother's Day, and that's quite poignant. Because,
Mm.
I mean, this is something that you have expertise on, not me. Um, but we were having a bit of a chat about how emotionally charged Mother's Day is for people who are missing their kids, don't have kids, but want them, have kids and don't want them at all, or people who have relationships with their mum or their maternal figure not in a place where they want it to be. And
Mm.
it really got me thinking. You wrote a brilliant article a couple of months ago called How to Forgive Your Parents.
Well,
And
yeah.
I actually I actually want to hand the reins over to you quite a bit on this one. Considering that you are the expert in mothers out of the two, well, not expert, we hate experts. You are the
But the
mother
more
of the two of
experience,
us.
correct. Interesting with,
Yeah.
the article on how to forgive your parents. I'm glad you read it.
Well, interestingly, like I read it out to I had a friend staying with me for a couple of months when this came out, and we had just been having a conversation about her folks. And when you sent it through for me to proof, I was reading it and I read it out loud to her, and she was like, "Whoa." So it actually hit, you know, turns out you know what you meant, but really hit with her that there was some things that she'd been holding on to or some stuff that she realized wasn't hers that she needed to
Mm,
carry anymore. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the reason I wrote it was because um, most of us, most of us carry some sort of baggage and resentment around something our parents did at some time. And oh, there it is. Look at that in all its glory.
There it
And
is.
um, it's really important, as you said, it's not yours to carry anymore.
Mm.
So, yeah, maybe should I read it? I'll
I
jump
think
in.
that would be great.
All right. So,
Yeah, if
forgiving
you read it and
parents
then maybe dissect it a bit more.
as I go. All right. So, how to forgive your
Yeah.
parents. So, first of all, biggest, why? What's the purpose of forgiving your parents? Well, it's about you and living your best life, letting go of the past and creating your life your way. And what it requires is three things. So the first thing really is deciding on what your life, well, what you want your life to look like. So what are the values you want to live by? How do you want to act? How do you want to feel? And when you really sit down and consider these, it will give you clarity about what's acceptable and what's not. And then clarity allows for authentic communication. And then that leads on to the next one. Clarity allows boundaries because you know now what's acceptable and what's not.
Mm.
And
Can I
forgiving,
just ask
yeah.
as well, when you know how you talk um, about not being about being unlovable and about, when you think of the photo of you as a little person, are either of these the photo that you think of? About that
They're pretty
little girl
cute.
who's never unlovable?
Yeah.
They're great.
Isn't she adorable?
Mm.
You
She
got to
looks
admit.
very much like your grandson Henry.
Yes, she
Honestly,
does.
I mean, hopefully people are watching this, on on YouTube because explaining something in a, verbal medium is not ideal, but what we're looking at currently is 2 beautiful photos, one with my gran holding my mama, and one with her chubby, cute little legs and big smile and bonnet, just standing on some grass.
Just before I learnt to walk. So mum's holding me standing
Mm,
up. Yeah. So yeah,
yeah.
when you're forgiving your parents, first thing, decide on what what it is you want your life to look like, what rules you want to live by, what values you want to live by, how you want to act, how you want to feel, and then your boundaries. And remember, okay, just because you're forgiving your parents, it doesn't mean they're going to change because you can't change them. All you can do is change the way you react. And forgiveness is not about, oh, yeah, it's okay now, everything's all right. And now we're just going to move on and forget it ever happened. It's about you finding peace. You know, if they do
Mm,
change, great. If they don't, you can still find peace and move on. No one is going to keep your boundaries for you. No one. Why would they? If you can't put yes
mm,
and no in the right place, no one's going to do it for you. And
yeah.
forgiveness is an interesting thing. All right. A lot of people continue to accept bad behavior by going, oh, I forgive them. No, what you are doing is being a martyr and a people pleaser.
Mm.
Forgiving them is about
Being a
letting
victim in
go.
the drama triangle.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So
Mm,
forgiving them is about releasing your poisonous feelings that are poisoning your body, your resentment, your frustration, your pain, releasing that so that you can be free. That's what
mm,
that is about, right? So, boundaries. And then the third thing that I feel is really important in my experience is understanding how you show up in relationships. And that is about the drama triangle, all right? And um, every aspect of the drama triangle is toxic and destructive. And moving away from that allows you to regain responsibility and power and discernment in your life. So, should we go on with the drama triangle? Do you want to do that?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Can I wanna ask a question before we go into this because I know it's something that you will it's something that you're gonna say a lot, and I wanna know why you say it, and I've never actually asked you this. Why do you say "and" rather than "but" or "though"? 'Cause we're gonna go you're gonna be taking us through a few examples, and I mean, and if you're watching, you can see here is you use the word "and" when
Yes,
you're
I do.
s
Yes, I
yeah,
do.
and why is that?
Because it's about agreement frames, and agreement frames are there to um, decrease or eliminate resistance. If I say to
Okay.
you, yeah, 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 I get that, but what am I actually saying? I
Okay,
don't get that.
immediately, I feel like you've disregarded what I've said.
And I have. And if I say,
Okay.
oh, yeah, I get that. However,
Oh, now
I've
I just feel like
disregarded
you're disregarding what I'm saying, but being a twat about it.
it. Right?
You're
Yeah.
trying to prove that you're
Or
smarter than me.
or if I say, yeah, I get that. And from where I'm sitting, I actually have a different perspective of that. And I don't feel the same way.
Yeah. I feel like there's a conversation that can be had rather than, uh an overarching decision that's already been made.
I feel that but and however just literally do this. Where would
Yeah.
and
Cool.
correct.
That's
And I
yeah,
think
that's a
I've
full
given a couple of
tangent from well, I mean, yeah,
correct.
that's a full tangent from where we were going. It's just not scripted, something I just had never asked. I assumed, but I'd never asked.
Yeah, beautiful. So, for example, there are a couple of things here in how to establish boundaries.
Mm.
So, I appreciate so example, I appreciate you asking me to have Christmas at my place again, and I'm away until Christmas Eve. It would be better if it's somewhere else.
Yeah. So I guess that's
All right.
that in that situation, instead of just being if we're talking about drama triangle, it's instead of just being the victim that says, "Of course, of course, of course, have it at mine." Um, or would that be rescuer?
Rescuer, feeling like a victim, martyr, right? Because I'm a people
Yeah,
pleaser and I can't say no.
yeah. Or
Mm,
if you were gonna be the persecutor, it would be like, "Absolutely go fuck yourself.
yeah,
You're not welcome at my house anyway," sort of thing.
correct, right.
"Why would
So
you do
that's
this?"
I appreciate. And another one is I respect and. I respect your need to have help with that situation. And in order for me to help you in the best possible way, I'll need to finish what I'm doing first,
Mm,
rather than just dropping what you have and running.
yeah,
All right. And another one is I agree. And I agree having you stay with me for a month could be convenient for you. And I have priorities during that time, which means I won't be available.
mm,
Other things are I see and, oh, I hear that and, hmm.
yeah, cool.
So
And
there are
that's
lots of
all related
ways.
to the people so that's all related to the people pleasing, like, these are, agreement frames for, like, boundaries and people pleasing?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
cool.
Yeah. If you are the people pleaser who has always done what because you're the good girl,
Mm,
all right, that was your role, the
yeah.
helper, the good girl, always there, reliable, capable.
I
Yes,
wanna point out as well, this is something that I have edited for you, we've gone back and made changes on, and then I've published, and it still, for me, is something that I like, these questions that I'm asking you aren't to make it seem like this is more interesting. It's just something that is so important and so continually interesting and something that because I know I need to work on it constantly, this is just serious questions and interest in it because
and
it
also
is
as well,
nothing.
both of us have not in the past, and it's a constant growth thing, been good at putting boundaries in place.
Oh, fuck no.
So, yeah, so really important as part
Mhm.
of that way you're forgiving your parents is you won't forgive them if you keep doing what you always do that makes you resentful. All
Yeah,
right. You can't move on. If you don't change the way you show up, then everything is going to stay the same.
same, yeah.
And you're just hoping that some stage they'll change. So be it cause, go, okay, this is up to me. I want to change my life. I don't want to have these toxic feelings anymore. I'm going to make changes and then do
Yeah.
it.
And, like, none of this means that it doesn't like, it doesn't make it easy just deciding that, "Oh, I don't wanna be toxic anymore." Like, it's eh,
Correct.
like, it's not just like,
It
"Oh,
takes
I'll
work.
I'll put in a boundary with mum. She'll love that. That'll be really easy." Um, and it doesn't
And here's the
necessarily take the
thing.
pain away either, but it is God, it's that unhooky thing, isn't it? It's stepping out of the drama triangle and just
Observing that
as
you're
our
in it
friend
to
Virginia
start
says,
with.
observing, being the observer.
Yeah, yeah. And then you need to observe first. And then, if you're not comfortable with boundaries, don't decide to put a big boundary in that you're not sure that you can maintain. Start with little ones that you know you can and practice with this. Just practice.
I'm only laughing because I know this isn't a personal attack, but I also feel like that's something I've done in the past as well, where it's like I've gone from 0 to 1,000 and suddenly been like, "I'm putting this boundary in, and you need to respect this boundary." And the boundary itself is toxic.
Yeah.
The boundary itself.
Yeah. 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 Is not even self-loving in the slightest.
Oh, absolutely not. No. But that
Yeah.
also comes back to what's the purpose, right? It comes back to the very beginning of this article. What is the
Mm.
purpose for putting yourself through this not the easiest process of forgiving your parents? Why are you doing it? Why do you want to do it?
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is, you're right, it's not easy,
Mm,
but nor is staying in pain.
no.
And the beautiful thing with this is, even though you can tell yourself lots of stories about it, if this is a work in progress, the pain gets less and less. If you
Mm,
don't do this, the pain continues to at least be what it always was, and maybe then increases.
yeah.
So there's a lot of value in forgiving your parents and moving on.
I get even if you think about it in like a super practical way,
Mm,
if you make when you make the decision, or if you make the decision that you wanna do this, you wanna forgive your parents, then at that point, the trauma and the triggers and the pain can only start going backwards, right? Like it might
mm,
it's gonna
correct.
be it's gonna be different amounts of pain and things are gonna hurt in different ways, but if you're not, you've got all this pain that's from this point that you thought about it, but didn't really go through it, whatever, that pain is gonna kind of compound
Mm,
as you get
mm,
yeah. Oh.
mm. So I have this beautiful friend that I met on podcasts, and he's quite good, called Sifu Raphael. And
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah,
I was watching his, yeah, I again, so full disclosure, I hadn't necessarily listened to all of his podcasts before you started doing them. I knew a bit about
mhm,
him.
mm.
He's incredible. He's
Isn't he
so
something
interesting.
else?
Yeah.
And
Anyway, as you were.
what I love, going back into this, he was the youngest of 12 children in Colombia.
Mm,
And the way he talks about it, it was a very physical environment. All right. Everyone got smacked and hit and slapped around. And because he was so much younger than his siblings, not only did his parents slap him around, but his siblings did as well. And at 10 years old, and I'm sharing this freely because he shared it on podcasts. Um, he ran off into the streets and was gone for 2 weeks until they brought him home. And he just looked them in the face and said, "Don't hit me again or I'll go again."
mm,
And it was good for a while. And then they did, and it continued violence until at 15, he moved out with his older sister and said, "I am divorcing everyone in my family except you. I will never forgive them. This is it." And interestingly, by 18, he went, "All right, this isn't working. I need to forgive them so that I can be at peace and stop
mm,
holding on to this resentment, and so that I can get on with my life." And
mm.
so he did go back to them and forgive them and make his peace and seek to understand. All right. He still had boundaries in place, but
Yeah,
it
'cause I
was
mean,
that.
the pain I imagine the pain of his childhood, forgiving
Mm,
them doesn't it's not forgive and forget. That it's not like we've forgiven, suddenly it's hugs and rainbows and everyone, comes around for Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, they like he does. He loves them and he can hug them and be with them. And then if I'm just going to skip straight to the bottom of my article here, and
The
it is
photo?
about understand how to move forward with forgiveness.
Yeah.
Understand that often the things we need to forgive in our parents are the things we also do. Of course,
Mm.
they are. We pick them up in childhood. Understand that that is true for them as well.
Mm.
And they were truly
I
doing
will,
their
I'll link
best.
this article with this recording so everyone can have a read of it, because it is very interesting.
Yeah, and it is. Understand that that is true for them as well. And they were truly doing their best with the resources and capabilities they had at the time. Look at your predominant relationship behavior with them. Using the strategies above, how can you move away from being triggered? Learn from the past about what you don't want and then focus on what you do want.
Mm.
Forgiveness is possible when you focus on the positive things you want in your life and let go of your reactivity around their behavior. You are responsible for yourself. So, yeah, basically, and that's what he did, all right? And he is one of the most beautiful, gentle people, a truly
Mm.
loving man who just wants to put love and light into the world. And it could have been so different.
Yeah.
Mm,
But
mm,
and again, I can't speak for him, it's his story, but I can only speak from, certain events in my life. You do try and convince yourself that it's easier to stay where you are than make that jump, though. You do. You
But also, as well, I know people who say, I never forget.
mm,
I remember. I'm not going to let go of this. That's like, oh, but you are really just harming yourself.
mm. But again,
This
as
is,
we said, it doesn't mean forgetting.
it doesn't mean forgetting, but it doesn't mean hanging on to
Yeah.
it. It's like, I'm going to make you pay. But the thing is, you're not making them pay. You're paying.
I mean,
That's what's the tragedy of
y
this is. You are the one that's paying because you're
mm,
paying with your happiness. You're
yeah,
prepared to sacrifice that to be this.
yeah. But I definitely think there needs to well, you kind of have to do this in cahoots with your parent, even if nothing changes with them. I feel like explaining why these boundaries are in place, why you're making these decisions,
Mm,
why you're
mm,
so then if they don't change and everything's the same and it's still a toxic, awful relationship, it's not because you haven't clearly set your intentions with them about how you
mm.
want this relationship to be and what
Correct.
you are willing
Yeah.
to accept and not accept. Mm,
And don't be discouraged by their reaction. Their reaction has nothing to do with you, it's with
yeah.
whatever's going on in their life. And often, as well, I find that we don't say things because we are trying to protect people from their own reactions. Well,
Mm,
that's not our role because if people are allowed to feel their feelings, maybe if they feel them enough, that will be the invitation for them to have a look at why they're feeling those things and go on their own healing journey. When we try to protect people from themselves, we're doing a great disservice.
mm, yeah. Yeah, it's re I know we talk about this a lot in our own conversations, but when it comes to the drama triangle, can you explain how it is possible to be in all 3 spots at the same time? Like, it's not
Sure.
like
Okay.
you are just a a martyr or just a rescuer or just a persecutor.
No, I'd love to. All right. So Stephen Cartman, I think it was in the early 50s or 60s, he was studying scripts, and he realized that most scripts had three sort of roles in them. There was the rescuer, the victim, and the persecutor. Then what happened is transactional analysts picked that up, and these are people who looked at the transactional nature of relationships and realized that the reason those stories resonated so strongly with people is because we are in the drama triangle over 96% of the time in our relationships, or over 96% of our relationships are in the drama triangle. That we are bouncing around, and that it is a mobile position, that we head to all three. Now, and then imposed on that, all right, what with the work that I've looked at and that was taught to me is that people who are rescuers, generally speaking, have a real fear of abandonment and being unlovable. So they do things in order to be loved. So they will people please, and they will abandon themselves in order to please and do for other people so that they will be liked. And that makes sense. We are herd mammals, and if we are thrown out of the herd and abandoned, we will die. So it makes sense that we want to be liked and be connected. We should.
Yeah.
Where it is really a disadvantage and where it becomes a problem is where we do it so often that we actually lose our sense of who we are.
Yeah.
All right. And we can't become consumed by that. Now, that's for people who are primarily people pleasers. Understanding, we'll get to, you bounce around all of them. People who are in persecutor have a real fear of worthlessness. And again, it makes sense because if I am truly worth less than every other person in the tribe, I will be the last person to get any food, clothing, shelter, mate, water, whatever. And if I'm the last person, I could die. So I need to find at least one person who is worth less than me so they die before me. And the more people I find who are worth less than me, the better.
Yeah.
So you can see how bullying can play out here. And also, it's that sense of overachieving, having to do more, be more, have more, achieve more, push, 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 always achieving. And it doesn't matter how much I achieve, it's never enough because I'm running worthlessness. And I need to have more in order to feel safe.
Yeah.
So, and it's like this competition. It's dog eat dog out there, and I'm going to be top dog. Then you got the victim. And the victim often sits in powerlessness, and this is where a lot of money stuff sits as well. And again, if I'm completely powerless and can't control my life, then I'm not safe and I could die. And the way victims cope with this is they become codependent, usually with rescuers.
Yeah.
Although they can, and that works for them because one person's always trying to rescue and one person's really happy to be a victim. But they also get in codependent relationships with persecutors because the victim believes, hey?
Does it justify that feeling of... Sorry, I'll let you talk.
Well,
I'm cutting in.
oh,
I was
that's
gonna say,
fine.
does it justify the feeling that you have as a victim of if someone is making you feel worthless, then it proves that you are worthless?
Well, for the persecutor, they love it because there's someone that they can pick on who's worth less than they are or who they can keep down.
Yeah.
And for the victim, it reinforces their reality. And the way the victims add out, they can be really passive aggressive. They can refuse to make decisions because not making a decision like that, refusing to make a decision, is a power play, which is interesting.
Yeah.
You know, there are all sorts of things there. really, some narcissists present as victims. And you can see when they have everyone, manipulated everyone to dancing to their tune, doing everything they want because they are so needy, playing out here. Now,
Yeah.
what's really interesting though, right? What's really interesting is a rescuer who keeps rescuing a victim will get resentful if the victim doesn't change, all right, if they don't appreciate what they're doing after all I do for them, and can move into persecutor,
Mm.
feeling like a victim because they're
Yeah.
understood and taken advantage of, all right? The victim can move into persecutor because they get resentful that they're being rescued, even though because the power is such, even though they want to be, right? And the persecutor is like on the extreme end of victim. Well, I can't help it. It's not my fault. You can't blame me. This is how the world is. It's not
Mm.
fair, you know? So that, and even what's
It's so
extraordinary,
interesting that when you are in this drama triangle, in this toxic little, you know, thing, that it's almost like there's this constant search for more drama.
to
It's
be,
never comfortable, it's never fine, it's never fulfilling, because even if you're getting exactly what you quote unquote want, it's not actually fulfilling you, so you're not happy. So you have to kind of shift the axis of the triangle so that there is more drama.
you need drama all the time. And the beauty, why people often continue to stay in the drama triangle and not even get outside it and observe it, is because when you're in it, it takes up all of your energy and you do not have time to be reflective and to look at your own motivations or your own behaviors because you're so caught up with it
Mm.
and you stay there. But we can do this with ourselves. This is the beauty of the drama triangle. All right. I can, like right now. All right. I'm exhausted. Okay. I'll get in after 5 days of practitioner training. Oh, victim. I am exhausted. Rescuer. Why don't you just go downstairs, hang a right, go into the metro, buy yourself a tub of ice cream, get your thing, da 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 da. Oh, God, I love that. Persecutor. You've got to be kidding me, right? You're going to hate yourself. You know it. Like, you're so weak. Really? That's what you're going to do? Victim. Oh, but God, I love it. It's just one tub. It'll be fine. Really? I really love it. I'm so tired. Rescuer. Oh, you deserve it.
Mm.
Right? Bzzz, round and round it goes. It's not a happy place to be.
And what's really interesting is that scenario outside of the drama triangle is, "Oh, I think I really want something sweet." Okay. Do you, or are you just tired? No, I want something. Okay.
Mm,
Or no, I'm actually, you know what? I'm just gonna go to sleep. Like
yeah.
it's weird that, and I guess that's what we're simplifying relationships, right? Where it's like, um, I was gonna say the ice cream's not trying to hurt you, but it is.
But it's not the ice cream really, is it? It's the choice.
Yeah.
And
Oh, no, I was
and the
talking physically, that ice cream would
oh,
hurt you.
but yeah, ice cream would hurt me. Yes, it would.
But also,
Yes,
that's part of you making that decision, being in the drama triangle, right? It's not
right,
like
because I'm gonna eat something that's then really gonna hurt me.
it's gonna make you physically in pain. So
Yeah.
it's almost like you're r it's actually it's a very good, it's not a simple example at all, it's a really good example. It's like you, as you know,
The
in that
persecutor
cycle.
in me is actually really hurting the victim.
Yeah,
I give him okay, do it, I dare you, do it,
yeah,
go on, do it.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh, what, you're too lazy to go down and get some? Knew
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it is, it's a because if you did that, it's not just gonna be like, "Oh, I want a little sweetie before," you know, whatever, or it's, "I want something that's gonna put me in physical pain
Mm.
because then I will feel bad," and that is, and yeah, it, like, plays into worth and yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
so funny when you start, I mean, and this drama triangle stuff, like, God, I mean, you've been doing it for 15, top what, 10,
Well, hey,
15,
it's been around for 50 or 60 years,
yeah.
more, 70 years, so it's not like it's new.
But it's something that even with, my friends who, see psychologists or counselors or therapists or whatever, this, um, is something that is talked about in all kind of modalities. It's that, and there might be different names for it. There might be different, it might not be called rescue or victim perpetrate, but it is that, um,
Mm.
flow of energy applied to relationships that is just,
Mm.
you start seeing it. That's something about being an observer as well. I mean, fuck, I'm still in it at times. No one's perfect. I'm in it probably
Correct.
quite a lot, but you really start seeing it in people themselves or in relationships or
And the
mm,
thing is, the way to get out of it is, one, to observe it. All right. I used to get into drama triangles with people that didn't even know I was in a drama triangle with them. All right. Two people down the front
people
of the
didn't even know.
bus. Yeah. Yeah. Two people down the front of the bus would start laughing. And I'd be really shitty at them because they're laughing at me. I'd be feeling like the victim. I'm there planning and plotting their demise. All right.
Mhm.
What? What? Yeah. 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 It is
Yeah.
crazy, crazy making stuff.
But
Mm.
also, even if they are laughing at you, you've
Yeah.
just by acknowledging and reacting to it, you've actually jumped into their drama triangle as well as
Yeah.
bringing them into yours.
Correct.
Mm,
Correct. You're now the victim and they're the persecutors.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I know. It is nuts. And the way, though, to get out of drama triangles is, yes, to step back and observe it,
Mm,
and then to truly connect with your higher self, your inner self, all right, to pull you out of it. Because when you do that, okay, if you've been in rescue, or the way to get out of it, it's a bit like if you've created, if you like, a child because you're rescuing someone all the time and you've made them dependent on you and you're
mm,
enabling them to stay stuck. Well, then what you have to do is start putting in place steps that they can use to empower themselves. So instead of doing everything for them, going, oh, look, you wanted this. Look, here's a card of someone who, ring them, rather than you ringing them, organizing it, da 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 da. Now,
that's
here's the
something
kick.
that I think is really, poignant for me in my work, in my business, because initially you want to be available whenever your clients need you. You wanna give them everything, you wanna do things for them, you want to, and it's like you can't. You're
No,
actually doing that is not helping anyone because then you do get, um, bitter about, well, they don't appreciate everything I've done. Well, no, because you did 5 versions of something that they didn't ask for
yeah.
because you didn't have a clear conversation, you didn't have boundaries, you didn't, yeah, it's,
Or they're always ringing you up and asking stuff because you haven't empowered them to make their own decisions.
yeah,
You've enabled
and
them to become codependent on you so that they need you.
yeah,
Only now you're in a position where they need you, where you can resent it.
mm, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like gatekeeping. If you gatekeep something to a,
Mm.
you all you're doing is making your life so much harder in the long run.
Correct.
Mm,
Correct. So in that way, you can, remove yourself, because even though we bounce around all three, we have a favorite, all right? And
Mm,
mine was definitely rescuer,
mm.
definitely. And then I'd slip into martyr victim,
Must be
right? And
genetic.
then yeah, and then push into persecutor because I was so cranky. So
Yeah.
um, to get out of victim, all right, you need to start um, only accepting the help that will help you make your own decisions,
Mm,
and start making your own decisions. I'm not saying don't get any help. That's ridiculous. We all need help. But I liken a rescuer to someone who jumps into the hole with the victim, sits there in the big black hole, empathizing with them, and then tries to carry them out on their back and climb out of the hole with them on their back.
mm.
Whereas what we need, and then keep falling in the hole. We need to empower people by throwing them down a ladder or a rope that they can use to get themselves out of the hole. And here's the thing that people have to realize when they're in a hole. Once you start moving off the floor of the hole, it feels the same. You don't feel like you're making any progress until you break the surface and stick
Mm.
your head out the top, because all you're seeing is black wall. And you can be looking up and you're not really sure how close the top is. And it doesn't feel as though you're getting anywhere, but you are.
Mm.
And then you'll break the surface.
Yeah.
So it's having an understanding of that. Mm.
Yeah.
And for the persecutor as well, it's about accepting responsibility for um, their own reactions and behaviors,
Mm.
and learning how to accept that they are responsible for how they feel, not anyone else. And
Yeah.
a persecutor with the bullies, they're never happy. They're not happy. It is that classic hurt people hurt people. And if they can find a way to stop the pain, and it's possible, then they
Mm.
can actually be happy and they can have happy relationships with the people around them.
Yeah. I guess taking it back to parents, I mean, you can't change how someone else is in that. When you start observing, so from your experience, when you so I've acknowledged, I mean, this is not how it happened in our relationship, but let's say in this crystal clear example, I've
Yes.
acknowledged that we're in the drama triangle. And I've acknowledged my position in it. So let's say that I'm the persecutor and you're the victim. So I've acknowledged that and I'm observing it. And I step out. You're going to try and keep pulling me back in, aren't you? And this is actually kind of what we were
100.
talking about last week about, or maybe the week before, about changing the rules when you decided to step out from, I should just have used the real example. When you decided to step out and observe our relationship, I was trying to pull you back in
Mm-hmm.
because that is in whichever, configuration it was, that was where it was comfortable. That is, I needed you in that because that's what made sense. And I think, and if I hadn't made the changes that I had made to be happier, I would still be we wouldn't have, like, I would still be trying to probably pull you back into that situation, which
And in those situations, I would have to put boundaries in place, which meant that our relationship, I have to be self-loving enough
mm,
not to be dragged back in. Because here's the thing, you can offer someone a lifeline. They don't have to take it. People can
yeah,
stay in victim if they want to. People can stay in rescuer if they want to. People can stay in persecutor if they want to. You need to decide whether or not you're going to play.
Yeah. And that is not going to be the easiest thing for people
It's
embarking
not.
on this process, because the it's almost like, you're trying to climb the ladder out of the hole and someone's hanging on to you, pulling you back down.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you get feelings, particularly if it's family, all right?
mm,
Then you get feelings around, you get big guilt because they're family. You know, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't hurt my family. And the thing is that the only way to stop your family from hurting is to create change and
mm,
show them what's possible. You
yeah.
need to just shine the light. You can't force anyone to do anything, but someone at some stage, if there's going to be healing in, this long line and in the generations, if there's going to be healing, it has to start with one person.
Yeah. Change starts with one step.
Correct. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
that, yeah.
I was gonna say, it's something that constantly interests, like, I never don't discover something when we're talking drama triangle, because it seems like
I know. Me
such
too. Yeah.
but it seems like and because it's I think it's also a phrase that is so thrown about, it's MLMs use it to try and,
Mhm.
get to you see big culty things, but it's not. So I think because it's thrown around so much, it's almost can be disregarded, but it
Mhm.
is the essence of interaction, right? It's the
Mhm.
essence of most relationships.
Mm.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you so much for
And there we are. And
giving
have we
me
circled
another.
back to forgiving your parents? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Um, I think where we started and where we want to get to. I mean, I guess the thing is, you've talked about how my trauma has affected you. And I guess my healing came as well. And then when I reflected on my parents, it's clear when I look at the childhoods that they had that, gee, what they managed to do with the resources they had
Mm,
and the experiences that they had lived and the models that they had to sort of, look up to, they were extraordinary.
mm,
Even though it didn't feel like an extraordinary childhood and there was a lot of um, trauma,
yeah,
right? Often you can know you're loved. Like I know I was loved 100%, and I didn't get the love I needed.
mm,
Bottom line,
mm.
it is what it is. I can hang on to that, and it's not fair, and da 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 da. Or I can appreciate that I got what my parents knew how to give.
And how did you, um, implement that? I know we're running out of time, and so it might be too much of a big question, so we might have to come back to it next week, but how did you, through your learning of this, how did you implement it with Gran? How, you know
I think it was about changing me,
Mm,
all right, and then not buying in. So, you know, Gran has in the past loved to be in the drama triangle. Okay, she understood that loving someone meant sacrificing yourself for them, doing
mm,
everything, putting everyone before you, classic rescuer.
mm,
Um, so that what happened, I guess, I used to get really triggered when then she'd start going into martyr mode. or then persecute her because she was feeling that people didn't understand and appreciate her, and she'd
Yeah.
really explode, right? As does everyone else in the drama triangle. Hand up, I've been there myself. I have done exactly what she's done. Of
Yeah.
course I have. Of course I have, right? So, first of all, I healed myself. And then I had empathy and understanding for where she was at. And it's interesting because, of course, when Graham was 81, she did NLP practitioner. So she got to see this and do that. So now, if she sees that, we can say, well, that's your choice,
Mm.
right? Now, you can't say that to someone who doesn't know. Well, all you can do is heal your life and be an example of what's possible,
Yeah.
and then allow other people to make decisions about what they want to do in their life. That's all, I guess. Did I answer the question?
Yeah. I think you rounded it up very nicely.
And
Well,
that is all.
thank you so much for sharing, and I'm going to link that article for anyone who wants to have a read. It's up on the website as well, but it
Beautiful.
is just interesting. And what I would like to know from anyone who is listening or watching is what, and you don't have to get too personal, but, kind of where you see any of your relationships within the drama triangle, or as well, if there's anything that you would kind of want us to chat about. Because there's a lot of shit in that head of yours, mother, you know?
Oh, well, yes, there is. And it
Good
doesn't
good
always
stuff.
come out the right way, but it's there. Yeah. Get
Oh,
it,
one
get
last
it
thing
while I can still access it.
one last thing as well, we haven't forgotten that, we didn't forget to release this.
Oh, yeah.
There is a very special reason, and we meant to harp on it earlier, but I just wanna say but coming back to Mother's Day, why couldn't we release this early? What are you doing next weekend, Mum?
Yeah. I'm flying over to see my boy because the rugby team in Auckland where Finn plays, the A grade team, they had an away game last week, but this coming weekend they are, in honor of their mums, going out through the tunnel onto the field with their mums. And Finn was talking to us on our Mother's Day call and saying, it's really cool. One of the families went, I could be their son and da 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 da. And I just thought, no, 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 no. Like, that's beautiful. And you are my son. And I want to go out on the field with you. So I want people to know he's with me. Like, that's my boy. And because it's a surprise, we couldn't release this just on the off chance that he heard it.
Or that we
Mm,
mentioned something about it because,
yeah,
we
yeah,
want to chat. But yes.
yeah, yeah.
So next recording might actually be coming from New Zealand. We might have Finn in it.
No, I'm coming. Yeah, actually, I haven't
We'll
booked
see.
my return flight yet.
Yeah. Let's
Either,
have a
yeah, we could be doing Catalyst from New Zealand, or yeah, who knows?
anyway.
No, I think I'll be home. I think I'll be home.
All
Yeah,
right. Well, have a fantastic week. I love you,
I love you too.
and I will speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.